Broadcasting live from California, get ready for an hour of pure, unapologetic conservative talk radio. Liberals beware, because this is the Wise Conservative Show.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Wise Conservative Show. I'm your host, Connor Wise. Now, in the past few months, actually, ever since the general election started, we've seen mostly party unity within the GOP. But now that Donald Trump is actually president and we're getting into the swing of things, it seems like a few members of the GOP are definitely becoming more outspoken against Donald Trump once again, and basically ruining that peace that we did cherish for a little bit within this party. On Wednesday, when asked about the president's goals for his speech at CPAC, Press Secretary Sean Spicer said that Trump will lay out his vision and discuss the problems that we face as a blueprint for what he plans to do in the future. And of course, some GOP lawmakers, they're going to be influential in this actual agenda that Donald Trump is setting in the future. Of course, on Obamacare, tax reforms, and a lot more. So we can see that a lot of these GOP lawmakers, congressmen, they definitely have more influence over Trump now in that regards, and we can see that they're taking advantage of this, and they're actually speaking out against them. Of course, we all know that John McCain has been a big enemy of Trump, basically, and he never was shy at actually criticizing Donald Trump, even during the campaign cycle. He's returned back to that maverick lifestyle, you could say. On Sunday, he reacted to a tweet that Trump sent out, calling the press the enemy of the American people. Now, then McCain warned that without a free and adversarial press, quote, that's how dictators get started. Here's something that he told NBC's Meet the Press. They get started by suppressing free press. In other words, a consolidation of power. When you look at history, the first thing that dictators do is shut down the press. And I'm not saying that President Trump is trying to be a dictator. I'm just saying we need to learn the lessons of history. Now, in a speech at Munich Security Conference in Germany on Friday, John McCain didn't mention Trump by name, but he did say that founders of the conference would be alarmed, quote, more of our fellow citizens seem to be flirting with authoritarianism. Now, of course, he also noted, quote, the hardening resentment we see towards immigrants and refugees and minority groups, especially Muslims. And so he definitely notes all of these different things that references Donald Trump's policies within his speeches and all of this. And honestly, I don't see why. We've been over this week after week after week because it seems like John McCain is always speaking out against Donald Trump. He just really needs to get with the times and realize that the American people are in a different and completely opposite mindset of him. I honestly don't know how he continues to get reelected. He's a nobody senator at this point. He hasn't done anything. Now, more Republicans are actually jumping on that criticism bandwagon. Representative Justin Amash of Michigan, he's a Republican, he used Twitter to lambast Trump's criticism of the recent court ruling against his executive order. Here's the actual tweet. At POTUS's constant fear-mongering to undermine support for our constitutional system of checks and balances is irresponsible and dangerous. Now, this is just two GOP representatives, but it is definitely showing that there isn't as much unity as there used to be within the party. And on February 17th, Amash, along with Representative Walter Jones, who is also a Republican from North Carolina, wrote to the Justice Department, FBI, and the Director of National Intelligence asking for a briefing on the allegations that the Trump campaign had connections with Russian officials. Now, this, of course, is a part of the concerns that not only the left has, but a few GOP lawmakers have, that Donald Trump and his campaign were in talks with Russia, that they were coinciding with Russia to rig this entire election. Lindsey Graham, of course, is another one that has been full-heartedly against Donald Trump. Here's a quotation that he said on CNN the other day. "I want to know, did General Flynn do this by himself, or was he directed by somebody to do it?" Of course, referencing Donald Trump in that regard, seeing whether he was ordered by Trump to actually talk to the Russian diplomat. Even though, as I did say last week, I do not believe Flynn should have resigned over that issue. Of course, party unity is something that is key when you have all three branches. You have the executive, you have the Congress, both houses of Congress, the House and the Senate, and soon we will have also the Supreme Court to be conservative. Party unity is something that is key to actually get this policy, the agenda that we set forth through. We saw that there wasn't great party unity when Obama took office in 2008, and those 2 years that he had both the House and the Senate, he barely did anything. If we continue to see more and more Republicans going against Trump, that's exactly what is going to happen. But, it's really strange. We have these people like John McCain and Lindsey Graham and these people who are definitely against Donald Trump. But just recently, just today actually, I saw this clip of this United Kingdom Parliament member. And he was definitely defending Trump. And I actually have that clip. I think you guys really should take a listen to this. It kind of contrasts everything that McCain and Graham say. So take a listen.
Those who find it difficult to understand that the American people voted for Donald Trump get over it because he's president of the United States. And what I would say for all of us here, and this actually includes myself, is that we have to ask ourselves, why is it that people felt so left behind that they made the democratic decisions that they've had, which we think we can't understand, some of us. How can you possibly vote for Brexit? How can you possibly vote for Donald Trump? And the fact is that the people have. These were the forgotten people. And just like we had the forgotten people in the United Kingdom, there are the forgotten people in the United States of America. We may not like some of the things that he says, and I certainly don't like some of the things that he said in the past. But I do respect the fact that he stood on a platform which he is now delivering. He is going to go down in history as being roundly condemned for being the only politician to deliver on his promises. I know that we can all go back and talk to the people that we know in our own little echo chambers, and that we hear are the same things, but the fact is that there were 61 million people who voted for Donald Trump, and when we stand up in this country and then condemn him for being racist, and I've seen no evidence of that, I have seen no evidence of him being racist, or that they attack him in an unseemly way. We're actually attacking the American people, the 61 million people who voted for Donald Trump. If they wanted more of the same, or the usual stuff, well, that was on the ballot paper. But they decided, by the majority of states on the Electoral College, as it works, that they wanted Donald Trump.
Now, why is it that a member of Parliament in the UK understands this more than John McCain or Lindsey Graham? Why is it that a member of Parliament in the UK can actually tell that the American people don't want the same old politicians? Lindsey Graham, John McCain, John Amash, these people are stuck in the past. They're stuck in a time when the establishment was in control, when they could do whatever they wanted and they would just get reelected, and that's it. They're a part of a group of the establishment that is the same on both sides of the aisle. People of the establishment, like John McCain and Lindsey Graham, they're exactly the same as establishment members of the Democratic Party. They don't actually have conservative ideals that they hold. They don't actually follow what Republicans in this country want. They follow whatever will keep them in power and give them more power. And I'm actually proud of Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan. He's actually accepting the fact that the American people wanted Donald Trump, and he's actually working to help Donald Trump. And he switched at the National Convention. We saw Paul Ryan actually starting to help Donald Trump, and he started campaigning for Donald Trump. But we see people like John McCain and Lindsey Graham and these other people who just, for some reason, can't understand why the American people voted for Donald Trump. I do believe that it is time for these representatives to be out of Congress. They have been in there way too long. They don't understand what the American people truly want anymore. They don't understand that we want someone who is not establishment, that we want someone like Donald Trump. And like Nigel Evans of the UK said, 61 million people voted for Donald Trump. Whenever you say that Donald Trump isn't a legit president or what he does shouldn't be happening, you are directly contradicting 61 million Americans. And that's a lot of people to be contradicting. Donald Trump is president. Donald Trump is the one that is in charge of the executive branch. These establishment people and the left, whether they like it or not, that is the fact. And they have to accept that in the future. And we see Donald Trump is definitely taking a very quick pace with all of the things that he's putting out. He's issued a lot of executive orders. Now that's both good and bad. But we see him constantly going after these different promises that he put forth within the campaign trail. And honestly, he's been one of the few politicians in history to actually follow his promises. And for some reason, the left and these establishment GOPers hate him for that. But Donald Trump actually followed another promise that he made on the campaign trail just today when the Trump administration revoked the Obama-era transgender bathroom guidance for schools. Well, of course, these are the guidances that said that transgenders can use any bathroom in any high school across the country. Of course, many people do feel that this was an overstep of the executive's bounds, and this should be something that's left to the states. Attorney General Jeff Sessions said in a statement, Congress, state legislatures, and local governments are in a position to adopt appropriate policies or laws addressing this issue. The Department of Justice remains committed to the proper interpretation and enforcement of the Title IX and to its protections for all students, including LGBTQ students, from discrimination, bullying, and harassment. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos said, "This is an issue best solved at the state and local level. Schools, communities, and families can find, and in many cases have found, solutions that protect all students." And this is what many conservatives and Republicans in general have said ever since Obama issued this. Everything education-wise, and in most cases, is better at the local level. They can find something that is better suited for their community at a local level. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say that Obama had the power to demand that all schools let transgenders use any bathroom or they implement transgender bathrooms on their campus. Nowhere in the Constitution does it give him that power. And if we're following the Constitution, according to the 10th Amendment, that power ought to be left to the states or to the people. And that's exactly what Donald Trump's administration has been doing, and that's what they did today, because this is a states' right issue. And Donald Trump on the campaign trail, he always said that he was a huge supporter of states' rights, and we can see that this is just one step that he's going to be taking in securing those states' rights that President Obama took away. He was very big on overstepping his bounds and adding more power to the executive branch and less power from the states. Well, we can see that the Trump administration is already giving more power to the states and less power to the executive branch, which directly contradicts everything the left says about him being a fascist authoritarian who is going to take all the power and become a dictator. Anyone who is focused on giving themselves more power wouldn't do anything like this. Now, of course, the left is claiming that this is going to spur more bullying across the nation as transgender students don't know what bathroom to use. What if they changed into a girl, but now they have to use the boys' bathroom? They're going to say that. And we've already heard that argument. But the thing is, this actual order didn't actually have any insurance that schools allowed it to happen. There was no enforcement with this order. Now, after this order was actually issued by Obama, 13 states sued the federal government over it, and Texas, a federal judge in Texas, put a temporary hold on this Obama guidance right after it was issued. And so this order honestly didn't actually have much of an effect on schools. So when the liberals say that this is going to increase bullying or harassment for transgender students, that is just lying. Because nothing is going to change. The few schools that did actually implement this, they're not really going to see any more bullying. This was just something that Obama issued so that he could look like he was the protector of all rights, the protector of LGBTQ community. It had no enforcement, which is something that you must have in an order. It's something that you must have, whether it be an executive order like Obama loved, or a bill within Congress, a resolution within Congress. Everything has to have an enforcement. And we can see that this didn't, so many schools, most schools, didn't actually follow it. This is something that states have decided isn't necessary, and this is something that communities have decided isn't necessary, so schools aren't going to follow this order that Obama had in the first place. And so Trump revoking this isn't, as CNN put it, dangerous in terms of LGBTQ rights. It's not dangerous at all. All this is doing is restoring the status quo that Obama found the need to change. And so we can see that this was just another promise fulfilled by the Trump administration, something that we're going to be seeing a lot of in the future. All right, I'm going to take a first commercial break. Don't go anywhere. This is The Wise Conservative Show.
Hi everybody, Connor Wise here with an exclusive clip from The Wise Conservative Show. Don't go anywhere, I'll be right back. And every time that these universities take up this new social change that they're trying to promote, every time they take that up, they are taking away from that education instead. Because now they're focusing on these social changes instead of learning like they should be.
Ever wanted to learn the history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in less than 10 minutes? Are you looking for the truth about the so-called gender wage gap? Well, my friends, I'll let you in on a little secret. Prager University is a source that I use all the time when preparing for my show, The Jason Veely Program. Dennis Prager and his team have put together a remarkable organization that seeks to explain and spread Americanism through the power of the internet. Their short yet extremely informative videos reach more than 100 million people per year, and they want to reach you as well. Go on YouTube and type in Prager University, or go to prageru.com for all of their latest content. That's Prager, the letter U.com. prageru.com.
Have you ever wanted to stand up to your liberal professor? Have you ever wanted to help expand the conservative movement? Well, it sounds like you would be a perfect fit for Youth Revolt. Youth Revolt is a team of dedicated young conservatives fighting liberal indoctrination within our school system. If you're interested in being a part of this team by being a columnist or even hosting your own radio show, go ahead and click the Join Now tab at the top of youthrevolt.org. You'll be asked to answer a few questions, and a Youth Revolt team member will respond to you quickly. Be a part of something bigger than you. Be a part of Youth Revolt. Speak without fear.
My friends, I'm going to be blunt with you. There are a lot of frauds out there today. People who claim to be conservatives and yet, in one way or another, believe that more government is the solution to our problems. That's not what conservatism is about, and even more than that, that's not what our Constitution is about. I'm Jason Veely, a recent college grad who has the guts to say what needs to be said without pulling any punches. On my radio show, you can expect 100% pure conservatism every single weeknight at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Join me as we discuss history, liberty, and conservative philosophy in a style that is just as entertaining as it is educational. Who says we can't have fun tearing down the liberal establishment? Tune in to the Jason Veely program live every weeknight at 7 o'clock on youthrevolt.org. I'll see you out on the battlefield.
Love Trump's hate! Love Trump's hate! Love Trump's hate!
Love trumping hate involves a lot more assault and arson than I expected. The Wise Conservative Show, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on Youth Revolt.
Welcome back to the Wise Conservative Show. Once again, I am your host, Connor Wise. Now, we all know that Donald Trump implemented or tried to implement an executive order that would have halted immigration and the refugee programs from 7 different Muslim-dominant countries. Now, I explained this actual halt in detail a few episodes back if you would like to go actually find out the details of it. And then I also talked about the actual halt of that executive order that the judge issued a couple weeks back as well. If you want to go find that, go ahead. But now Donald Trump, in response to all of this, his administration is saying that he is actually going to revise that extreme vetting order in order to drop the language that would actually reject Syrian refugees. This new order, which Trump is expected to sign next week, will also add language exempting legal permanent residents or green card holders from a travel ban, in a move that this administration hopes will remove any of the reasonable grounds for a legal challenge. Now, Trump's prior extreme vetting order temporarily suspended all travel from 7 Muslim-dominant countries, as I just said, and it suspended it for 90 days. Of course, a federal judge in Washington halted this enforcement, and the Ninth Circuit of Appeals refused to actually reinstate it. Now, the official said that this new language in the revised order is going to make it clear that the intent of the action is to temporarily block the admission of people with no prior status in the U.S. who are currently overseas until a program of extreme vetting can be put in place. The White House believes that this new order will satisfy the courts because it is, quote, grounded in existing security determinations. The official told Fox News that it is likely that certain classes of visa holders currently in the U.S. or have been in the U.S. but are currently abroad will be exempted as well. This could include certain student or other educational-related visas as well as work permits. Now, this new order would direct a temporary suspension of admission of all refugees while revised screening measures are put into place. The new order does implement a temporary visa ban for travelers from the same 7 countries as the previous executive order: Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen. Now, this revised order will mandate a 50% reduction in the refugee admission for 2017 to just 50,000 refugees. And according to the White House, approximately 35,000 refugees have already been allowed into the country this year. So that leaves about only 15,000 more slots left in the remainder of the entire year if this order is put into place for the refugee admissions to actually continue. Now, with this new order that they're writing up, and as I said, he's expected to sign next week, it doesn't seem like there's going to be any way that this court can actually halt it once again, can say that it is banning all Muslims once again, because they have basically taken care of all of the different errors that they made in the writing of the last one that they heard in arguments within the appeal court. So we can see that they are definitely still fighting to get this order across. Now they're just going to revise it, make it a little bit more safe in terms of legal-wise. That way that we can actually protect this country. Now, while it isn't as good as the current order that was ended by the Ninth Circuit, it is definitely still a good step in protecting this country. I mean, I'm still not happy about the 50,000 Syrian refugees coming here, but that's better than the current 100,000 refugees that are coming here under Obama's numbers that he put forth. So we can see that this definitely does help in those regards. It's just not as good as we would like it to be, but Donald Trump can definitely issue more orders, write up more orders, or even pass through Congress something that will better solve the Syrian refugee crisis within the future. And I believe I heard reports of Donald Trump saying that he supports safe spaces within Syria to try and solve that entire issue. And that's something that he believes he should be implementing within the future. We'll have to see how that actually turns out. That could go either way. But it definitely does involve taking the fight to ISIS within Syria, which is something that we've been needing to do for years upon years. Donald Trump is definitely hard on terrorism and wants to definitely make America safe again, which is another one of the themes that his campaign was run on, and it's something that he continues to say even in his speeches that he gave within this past week. He definitely said make America safe again in that. And he definitely is trying to, and we better hope that the same court doesn't actually stop this order once again. I could see them trying to, but an appeals court actually letting this go through because of the new language within it. So we better hope that this actually does work. And another promise that Donald Trump actually made in the campaign trail, I mean, it was one of his first promises, was we're going to build a wall. Now, a new report came out that the cost of a border wall is less than the cost of services for illegals. Now, if President Trump's border wall stopped a mere 10% of new illegal immigrants, it would already pay for itself by saving American taxpayers from spending money on services that those illegals actually take over their lifetime. And this, of course, is according to a new report from the Center for Immigration Studies. The center, which advocates for a crackdown on immigration, said that illegal border crossings are a net drain of nearly $75,000 per person over their lifetime. Stopping just 200,000 border jumpers over the next decade would save some $15 billion. The better the wall does at stopping people, the more money the taxpayers are saved. And we can see that a border wall would stop more than just 10% of illegal immigrants coming across our border. So it's going to save us more than what these illegals are already costing the taxpayer. Now, Stephen A. Camerato, he's an actual author of the report, said, quote, "If a wall stopped half of those expected to successfully enter illegally without going through a port of entry at the southern border over the next 10 years, it would save taxpayers nearly $64 billion, several times the wall's cost." The figures for the cost of illegal immigrant border crossings comes from a recent National Academy of Sciences report. It covers federal, state, and local spending and benefits for illegal immigrants. Mr. Camerata said that the new research from the Institute for Defense Analysis calculated that 170,000 illegal immigrants successfully jumped the border in 2015. Stopping just an extra 20,000 a year over the next decade would be enough to pay for a wall at $15 billion, which is a figure that has been floated by Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell for the actual project to build the wall. But Reuters reported this month on an international homeland security study the wall's cost could be more around $20 billion. But even at this cost, the wall would pay for itself and the illegals that are draining our system currently. Mr. Trump has said that the price tag would be taken up by Mexico, but he has definitely struggled to come up with a way that Mexico will actually pay for it. So this is just proof that even if we can't get Mexico to pay for the wall, we're still going to be fine. We're still going to see the United States being able to have a surplus at the end of this. We're still going to be able to see that the U.S. is going to have more than enough money to pay for more programs now. We're going to be able to pay off our debt more. We're going to be able to pay for more people who genuinely need help, rather than these illegal immigrants who are coming here and draining the system, not paying taxes, but taking money out. A big argument from the left is that, we're not going to be able to afford this, which is the one time that they actually care about federal spending. They say that, the federal government can't afford this because we're not going to be able to get Mexico to pay for it. Well, this is just proof, further proof, that we are going to be able to afford it, and furthermore, that it's actually going to help us and give us more money in the long run. You see people on the left constantly saying that, illegal immigrants and immigrants in general, they don't ever receive welfare. They don't ever receive benefits. But that's just a blatant lie. Folks, 75% of immigrants within the U.S. are on welfare. 75%. Many of those, around 50% of those immigrants, are illegal. We can see that many illegal immigrants are on welfare in this country, and they're receiving benefits that they're not paying into. They're not paying taxes because sales tax doesn't count as liberals would say it does. They're not paying taxes, yet they're taking the benefits that the taxpayers deserve. They're not paying taxes, but then they go and they get unemployment checks. These illegals are draining our economy, draining our government, and all in all, they're just ruining our country. The deportation that has increased over the past couple weeks because of Donald Trump is an amazing thing, and it is greatly going to help this country. But before we can further solve this issue of illegal immigration, this border wall has to be put into place. This is something that I am definitely surprised that Congress hasn't passed a bill or a resolution to actually build this. And that actually brings up an important issue. The Republican majority Senate and House hasn't really done anything since they took office in this new year. What have they actually done? If you actually look at it, they've done a whole lot of nothing. Now, a lot of that, of course, like this hearings for cabinet members, is due to Democratic opposition and them stalling it. But in terms of actually passing legislation, they haven't really done anything. Donald Trump is constantly pushing out these executive orders and these mandates, but Congress is lagging behind. They still haven't even put forth a health care proposal to repeal and replace Obamacare. They still haven't put forth a proposal to build the border wall. They still haven't done any of these promises that they said the second they got elected or re-elected they were going to do. You know, just because we have Republicans in power does not mean we can just let them get away with doing nothing once again. We have to hold our politicians accountable. We have to hold our representatives accountable. They're not doing their job currently. The Senate and the House both have done nothing in terms of passing this legislation that they promise. This legislation that is quite honestly necessary. This border wall is something that has to be passed through Congress. It's something that they have to work on, they have to pass. Repealing Obamacare, replacing Obamacare is something that they have to pass. But instead, we see Republicans floundering around on that topic, where Majority Leader Paul Ryan wants to put forth one plan. We see many others opposing that and putting forth their own plans. And this is just touching back on that party unity that we talked on earlier. In terms of appearing unified, overall, we seem to look unified. When it comes to actually putting forth this legislation, we're not unified at all. We see people writing this legislation, such as repealing and replacing Obamacare, who aren't putting forth good bills. So then we have other senators, other representatives, putting forth their plans, and then it's just this whole mess. Our Congress needs to actually get together and actually work together and and pass these bills that need to be passed, because right now it is giving Donald Trump a bad rep. We see the liberal media and the left in general attacking Donald Trump over Congress not doing anything, over Congress not passing this border wall thing, over Congress not passing anything on repealing and replacing Obamacare. They're attacking Donald Trump on it because he's not following a promise, quote unquote, that he made on the campaign trail. Our politicians within Congress definitely need to get their act together, because they are making the entire GOP right now look like a joke and look like they lied to the American people who voted for them. And we cannot have that continuing. All right, I'm going to take one last quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. This is The Wise Conservative Show.
Hi everybody, Connor Wise here with an exclusive clip from The Wise Conservative Show. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. How haven't all of these protesters realized that they are the exact reason why Donald Trump was elected in the first place? How haven't they realized that them being crybabies about every single thing in life is exactly why the American people rose up and voted for Donald Trump? They are the whole reason that they have all this misery currently.
If you got a business, that you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
Get out of here, you idiot. Sorry about that, folks. Jason Veely here, host of the Jason Veely program. I'm a 22-year-old conservative who is fired up and ticked off at the direction the progressive left have taken this country. Join me every weeknight at 7 o'clock as we promote liberty, advance conservative principle, and work to restore the Constitution of the United States. I can get loud and I can get passionate. How can we afford not to when so much is on the line? Tune in to the Jason Veely program, live every weeknight at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on youthrevolt.org. I'll see you out on the battlefield.
Hi everybody, Connor Wise here with an exclusive clip from The Wise Conservative Show. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. And every time that these universities take up this new social change that they're trying to promote, every time they take that up, they are taking away from that education instead. Because now they're focusing on these social changes instead of learning like they should be.
Calling all young conservatives. Have you ever wanted to write for an online publication? What about host your own conservative radio program? Now you can, thanks to youthrevolt.org. Youth Revolt is a conservative media network for young people, the goal of which is to educate our fellow Americans, and also to expose the left-wing indoctrination that goes on in classrooms across the country. Become part of a team that is dedicated to taking the country back, one radio program or opinion column at a time. If you're interested, go to youthrevolt.org and click on Join Us on the top of the page. Fill out our brief questionnaire, and one of our representatives will be in touch with you in no time at all. The time to reclaim our future is now. Be a part of something that's bigger than yourself, and join the movement today. Youth Revolt. Speak without fear. Ever wanted to learn the history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in less than 10 minutes? Are you looking for the truth about the so-called gender wage gap? Well, my friends, I'll let you in on a little secret. Prager University is a source that I use all the time when preparing for my show, the Jason Veely program. Dennis Prager and his team have put together a remarkable organization that seeks to explain and spread Americanism through the power of the internet. Their short yet extremely informative videos reach more than 100 million people per year, and they want to reach you as well. Go on YouTube and type in Prager University or go to PragerU.com for all of their latest content. That's PRAGER, the letter U.com. PragerU.com.
Love Trump's hate! Love Trump's hate! Love Trump's hate!
Love trumping hate involves a lot more assault and arson than I expected. The Wise Conservative Show, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on Youth Revolt.
Welcome back to the Wise Conservative Show. Once again, I am your host, Connor Wise. Now, we definitely note that our federal government, for a very long time, has been very inefficient and, quite honestly, wasteful. We've seen reports come out saying that the Pentagon has just lost billions of dollars, that it's wasted it on some back office jobs, and all of these different reports about different federal government agencies, not just the Justice Department and the Defense Department, but we also have had reports in the past about how the Social Security Agency has time after time wasted billions of taxpayer dollars, and we also see how the welfare programs within America in general give billions of dollars annually to illegal immigrants and to people who just don't need the money. Well, now another report is coming out that the Social Security Administration paid $1 billion in benefits to individuals who did not actually have a Social Security number. And this is actually according to a new audit on the agency or the administration. The agency's Inspector General found errors in the government's documentation for representative payees, otherwise known as individuals who receive retirement or disability payments, on behalf of another person who is incapable of managing the benefits themselves. This audit was released Friday, and it found thousands of cases where there was no SSN on file. Over the last decade, the agency paid $1 billion to 22,426 representative payees who, quote, did not have an SSN and SSA had not followed its policies to retain the paper application. Furthermore, unless it takes corrective action, we estimate SSA will pay about $182.5 billion or million dollars in benefits annually to representative payees who do not have an SSN or paper application supporting their selection. Now, that is from the Inspector General. He also found that the agency paid $853.1 million in benefits since 2004 to individuals who had been terminated as representative payees by the agency. Now, this is just one example of many that we've come across over the past few years of the federal government wasting taxpayer dollars. Now, Social Security is this program that has been wasteful and fraudulent for many, many years. And time after time, we see these audits take place, and they're finding all of these different things which ought to change something that's going on within the administration. But we never see anything change. We never see them actually hold people accountable for all of these issues that are going on. Now, Social Security is this program that you essentially can never get rid of in America. It was implemented by FDR within the Great Depression, and now it is a program that no one will ever be able to get rid of because people have paid into it, so they don't want it to get rid of it. But we see people who didn't pay into it are actually reaping the benefits from it. Or people who have terminated their benefits from it are still getting those benefits, even when they don't want them anymore. And this is why our country is so far in debt. Because we have these agencies and these administrations, such as Social Security, which just waste money, billions and billions of dollars, to people who don't deserve, who don't need, or who don't even have the application to get this money. We see this time after time after time. And that is why we're $19.9 trillion in debt. Our government is wasteful, and there's no accountability. There's no accountability within Social Security for any of these issues that we found over the past few years. None whatsoever. People ought to be held accountable for these issues. The federal government has become so bloated over the past couple decades, and I'll be fair, it has grown under both Republicans and Democrats. But it has gotten so big under all of these administrations that it essentially is just wasting in every single agency, every single program, and it's wasting taxpayer dollars. It's wasting the money that you and I provide to the federal government. This is something that has to change, and hopefully it will change under this new administration. We're going to have to find that out in the future. But this is something that if we want to actually reverse the path that our nation is taking back to a small federal government, back to larger states' rights, back to a more accountable government, this has to change. Social Security is a program that is highly corrupt, highly fraudulent. It is something that must be taken care of. Now, personally, I do believe that we do need to phase it out, but that's something that most Americans don't agree with. It's something that probably won't happen. Social Security is going to be a program that is going to last, and that is exactly why we need to solve these issues within it. That is exactly why we need to find all the people who are making these mistakes and either fire them or retrain them, do something so that they can actually perform better at their job. Because this is not acceptable. This is something that just cannot continue. And I definitely hope that I do not see any more of these reports coming out or audits coming out that find more billions upon billions of dollars that this agency has wasted. I hope I don't find any more reports that any other agency has wasted this money. It's an issue that has gone too long unchecked. And it's an issue that I very sincerely hope this new administration takes care of. Now, moving on to actual... at the end of all my episodes, I like to do more lighthearted pieces, something that's more about education or about the offended liberals across our country. Well, now police are being forced to cancel a High Five Friday, is what they were calling it, which was a child outreach effort. Police in Massachusetts attempted to reach out to students in definitely an interesting way, but they were forced to stop because kids might be offended. Parents in the community felt like some students might be offended, and they were specifically concerned about kids of color, undocumented children, or any children who may have had negative experiences with the police. Now, the Northampton Police Department got this idea to high-five students on Friday as they're walking into school and greet them as a great idea to actually reach out to these students, and it's definitely inexpensive as it doesn't cost anything. They received a lot of support from not only the school board, but also the community for this program. But because a few people within the community feel that kids of color or undocumented children, so illegals, don't like police, so they're going to be offended by high fives, this entire program has now stopped. This police department did reach out to the school superintendent for permission for it. The superintendent gave great support for the idea. They also said that they received, quote, a lot of support and, quote, also heard a few concerns about the program. The program is now canceled for a while the department looks for other ways to reach out to students and the community. The department wants people to know, however, the officers will still accept fist bumps and high fives from people who see them out on the street. Now, this was definitely just a police department trying to reach out to students, trying to actually create a better relationship between the police and the community, which has been so strained recently within the past 8 years, it definitely was strained. And this was a great idea. Children are walking to school, they get high fives from a police officer. I don't see anything wrong with that. But there's always going to be the left that is offended by everything. And there's no reports of anyone actually being offended by this program. But what if they do get offended? What if there's an illegal that gets offended by a police officer being there? It's always the what ifs from the left. It's always the what if someone is offended? What if this is perceived as racist, as sexist, as homophobic? And they hardly ever have any examples of people being offended, but they always like to actually deem it offensive beforehand. Hopefully a new program is put into place to actually increase this outreach, because police and community relationships within this nation have been so strained, and definitely there's been a connotation around police lately that they are horrible for the community, especially from the left. They've been giving that, but we definitely want the police to know that they are supported in this country, and they definitely want to reach out to people to prove that they are on the right side here. Okay, so this is definitely a good program. It's definitely something that shouldn't have been offensive, but we're always going to see the left being offended by everything. That's just how they roll. All right, that's all for today's episode of the Wise Conservative Show. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. You can find me on youthrevolt.org. Go ahead and search Youth Revolt up on Facebook.com. You can find me on Instagram at @the_wise_conservative, Spreaker.com/thewiseconservative. I'd like to once again thank you all for tuning in, and as always, God bless.